What's up, everybody? You're back in here, Pro Football Pod. Hulk, Coach, Austin, we're hanging out with you guys. We appreciate your time, so hit that subscribe button down below, because for every 500 subscriber benchmark, we're giving away a free jersey to one of you lucky viewers. We'd love to give away 1,000,000 jersey, because it just means we're doing right by you people. Tell your friends, tell your families, hit that noti up in the corner. TulsiRoseTea.com is the sponsor. What's up, boys? You ready to break down some 4 o'clock matchups for week 3 for them?
I feel like if we had 500 million subscribers, we could probably quit our day jobs.
I kind of feel like if we had like 200,000 subscribers, maybe even 100,000, we could maybe really consider quitting our day jobs. That'd be great.
Yeah, I'd love to do this full time and just help people win championships.
Yeah, but, so you help us help you, so hey, yeah, week 4 or week 3, 4 o'clock matchups. Who's the first one on the slate for us, Coach?
Carolina heading into Las Vegas, getting to play in the nicest stadium in the NFL. Probably going to be pretty hungover from all the strippers and whatnot the night before. I guess Bryce Young's not starting, so maybe they've got a shot. Maybe they've got a shot.
Carolina fans were going into this year with like Dave Canellis. They brought in Deontay Johnson, like they drafted Xavier Leggett and Jatavian Sanders at tight end, like Jonathan Brooks, like really exciting things going forward. Then they see, the first 3 weeks of the season, we get the Saints and then the Chargers with like no weapons anymore hardly, and Jim Harbaugh's coming back. And then we get the Raiders and they're not looking very good. And man, I think the Raiders might end up winning this game by 40.
So,
yeah, that's good.
Obviously, Andy Dalton, we're not going to worry about starting him.
Nope.
We haven't seen anything from him in years. Deontay Johnson, I still am taking a backseat. I'm wanting to see more. I'm potentially still dropping Deontay Johnson, not really thinking like, Andy Dalton's going to revive his career, and now he's going to be a solid guy that's just going to get fed. It could happen. The way that Thielen looked last year at the beginning of the fantasy season is what everyone thought Deontay Johnson was going to be this year, but it hasn't happened. I'm definitely not starting him this week.
No.
I'm not starting any Panthers players this week.
I'm taking them all off my roster.
Adam Thielen, I think, would be the one to keep your eye on with Andy Dalton coming in. Savvy vet to savvy vet. And I do think Deontay Johnson might have some value, but not this week at all. Like, you've got to see what the Panthers look like with Andy Dalton.
Now, on the other side, Gardner Minshew so far has 533 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 55 for 71. Davante Adams has 169 yards and a touchdown on 14 receptions, which is very low for him. Obviously, you're starting Davante Adams. I feel like Zamir White is absolutely maybe
as a owner of him, not startable.
Yeah, I think potentially drop.
Alexander Madison's interesting.
I do like that as the receiving, but they're not going to
PPR. Yeah, Alexander Madison might have some value, but like just looking at this last game, they've rarely. Zamir White got 4 targets, 3 receptions for 14 yards. Did nothing on the ground for you. Devontae Adams and Brock Bowers both finished with 9 receptions apiece in this last game. So because it was a little bit of a shootout there at the end, you did see some of that value. Gardner 30 for 38 for 276 versus what is a solid Ravens defense.
Yeah.
So versus the Panthers, I think they should eat.
He did it to him last year when he was on the Colts.
A decent game. What was that, Austin?
Minshew did that to the Ravens last year when he was on the Colts. We kind of saw that he was going to be able to do that.
He's just the Raven killer, just the...
So I feel like Zamir White's something to watch this week because they're likely going to be up the whole game. It's very unlikely that Carolina...
I do like Zamir this week.
I still wouldn't start him. If he gets 20 carries, he probably has value, but I doubt that happens.
I think he gets punched into the end zone
McCaffrey
and has at least
and
15.
Pacheco, you might have to start Zamir White.
Are we looking at potentially dropping a player like Zamir White to get like a Ty Chandler or, one of these other running backs? I mean, there's a lot of guys.
Like I said, I own Zamir White in 2 leagues. In both leagues, the way I'm playing it is seeing how these next 2 weeks play out.
Okay.
And if I'm not seeing any kind of uptick, then I'm okay with dropping him. Like if he ends up picking it up throughout the year, okay, cool. But I'm not going to hold him on my roster when there's other guys out there that can make an impact, especially with all the injuries coming down the pipe. So the waiver wires are going to be hot.
When did you have to draft him? Was it like 6th or 7th round or more like 8th or 9th?
7th, 8th.
Yeah, it was like somewhere between 7 and 9, just depending on how the draft fell. Like it's not like every draft I took him in, he was like my 3rd or 4th running back.
And you're not excited to drop that guy, but I mean, I would definitely look at it, especially if you have a high waiver. If you can move some guys to IR and pick up some of these younger running backs that are starting to pop off, like Braylon Allen, Donta Foreman got the most carries on the Browns last week. I just feel like these are better offenses to be a part of. And Zamir White, just like what he was supposed to be, is not showing at all. Next matchup,
I'm definitely picking up and starting though. Like
Minshew,
because Gardner
starting.
Minshew. Yeah.
Like as a top 10
league.
Okay.
Like if you're having to stream a quarterback, I would feel okay with that, especially because it's the Panthers.
He's been solid the past 2 weeks with like 12 and 14 points. So
yeah, he's gonna, he's probably gonna give you about 276, a touchdown, and an interception. Like that's what you're looking at.
I mean, his ceiling is 3 or 4 touchdowns with like 350 yards. Last year, I had him as my super flex backup. And whenever AR went down, like I just started him the rest of the season. And, I had Josh Allen. So I had enough points for my quarterback position as it was. But I think he still finished top 12. Which was exactly what we needed.
So what's that next game on the slate for the people?
We're looking at Dolphins heading into Seattle. We still don't have any news on Tua. He's questionable currently.
He's not going to play this week.
Agreed. Raheem Mostert's questionable. Malik Washington's questionable. Jeff Wilson's questionable. So I think that it's the regular, you're going to start the guys that you drafted in the first 3 or 4 rounds in Waddle, Hill, and Devon Achane.
I don't know if I start Waddle. Achane, yes. Hill, you have to because you took him at probably top 5 in any draft that you did. So you've got to, but Waddle, honestly, if I've got a close enough option, I'm going with the other option. I'm not starting Waddle with Skylar Thompson out there as quarterback.
Let's say
you say that, but what if you get like Rashid Shaheed?
I'd rather start Rashid Shaheed over Jalen Waddle.
I like Rashid Shaheed.
That's what I'm saying.
So but what if your best option is like Keon Coleman, Lad McConkey, one of these rookies that hasn't really popped off yet? They absolutely could. I mean, Xavier Worthy has popped off at least.
Yeah, you've got
last
to.
Game he didn't.
With the game plan and how much he's been used these first 2 weeks, I wouldn't be shocked to see Mike McDaniel try to run the ball 45 times this week.
Okay.
You can't behind do that offensive if you're line, down.
I mean, I agree, but that's what I'm saying. This is coming from somebody with zero faith in Skylar Thompson. Like zero faith.
Now, the Dolphins signed Tyler Huntley?
Tyler Huntley.
Yeah, Snoop Huntley, yeah.
He's obviously not going to be ready necessarily this week, but if he shows up in practice as this, like, game breaker, if he could Malik Willis his way to a victory for the Dolphins.
Which he very well could. Just
he's a Pro Bowl quarterback. Now Pro Bowl is kind of asterisk nowadays, but he is a Pro Bowl quarterback.
If Mike McDaniels can dumb down the offense for him, and like the offense is for that, like you have the athletes on the field, like I say fire him up.
I don't even think it's a matter of the offense is that complicated. It's just timing. What? But we're getting off track right now.
This is the second most complicated offense in the National Football League. What are you talking about, boy?
might it's
with
complicated
all those
to the eyeballs
no
because of the motions and stuff like that.
exactly
But it's
exactly.
generally this is your read, your timing's here.
Yeah, yeah, I get what Justin means. Like it's a very simplified concepts. It's not like there's a lot going on. The motion is a guaranteed thing that's happening every play. All that you really need to know is that whenever the guy's here, we snap the ball, and then this is what everyone's routes are. Like I get what Justin's saying.
Yeah, the motion
Yeah.
is just telling you if this guy follows, they're in man, so this is who I'm going to here. If the guy stays here, they're in zone. This is my first read, this is my second read. Like, but yeah, so it is complicated in the fact of knowing what you're reading, but I don't think you have to dumb it down for Snoop Huntley. Like, he went out there and was able to man the ship for the Ravens. My
Yeah, but
more
that was
worry is
after
on
being
the
on the team for
offensive
years.
line. So to flip this over to Seattle side, Gino is looking pretty solid right now. DK had a really good week this last week.
Best tight end in
Jalen
the league.
Ramsey has been in these first 2 weeks. I don't know if it's been miscommunication or what's been going on, but the guy's looking like a little burnt toast out there. So you're starting
racist.
DK. What do we know about Kenneth Walker at this point right now?
Doubtful, probably not playing.
So it's Zach Charbonnet again.
Yeah.
Okay. Either way, I think they'll still be fine. The Dolphins so far in the first 2 weeks haven't been able to really show that they can stop the run.
I mean, Tank Bigsby was running all over him.
Tank Bigsby, James Cook, we just saw what he did.
The question I have is, we finally saw a week from Jackson Smith and Jigba that, like, he showed up. He was very heavily targeted. He caught most of his targets. They weren't all short little dink and dunk passes. Are we starting to feel a little bit of confidence in starting a player like that as like a wide receiver 3 or a flex? If you have like a Jalen Waddle and you're like really not confident in the quarterback play, would you play someone like Jackson Smith?
I think I would pivot to Jackson based off of those circumstances.
I'm trying to think about how the Dolphins defense is set up versus how the Seahawks would plan it, because you've got Lockett working in the slot. So if you've got Javon Holland working over Lockett there, staying in the slot, or if Lockett's going over linebackers, I expect them to target Lockett a lot more. Now, Jordan Brooks looked really good in the last game as far as in the pass game and defending the pass. But still, you don't want the matchup with Lockett versus your linebacker. So I would expect Gino to target him there. However, the Dolphins have been able to show that a secondary wide receiver generally will pop off on them because they are focused more on, hey, we're not going to let DK beat us over the top.
Okay.
Well, that puts Jackson Smith on Jordan Poyer, and Jordan Poyer to this point in the first 2 weeks hasn't looked very efficient in the pass game so far as far as just his assignments. Now, it's still early, so I would feel good about starting Jackson Smith over Jalen Waddle this week.
Okay. And then I think if Charbonnet is the only back, he's worth starting just because he doesn't have any real competition. Like,
Yeah.
Kenneth Walker has Charbonnet breathing down his neck. Charbonnet has nobody breathing down his neck. He's going to get the majority of the work. I think that if Kenneth sits, that you absolutely start Charbonnet.
No other running back touched the ball this last week versus New England. He had 14 carries and 5 receptions. No other running back touched the ball.
Do you all agree with the spread?
Yeah, I actually think it should be bigger with Seattle,
agree.
with Seattle being at home.
Yeah, I like Seattle here in this spot. Although last weekend
I think the spread will start to shift more towards Miami, though, just because I think the money's going to start coming in on Seattle a lot. So you'll see the public money shifting that line a little bit. But yeah, I expect Seattle to win this game. I don't expect the Dolphins to win on the road in Seattle. You just lost your quarterback.
Yeah,
Spirits aren't high right now.
Y'all notice how many
Going
dogs
to
won
West
last
Coast.
week?
Like dog teams?
Yeah, like underdog teams.
Oh, okay.
Like there was just a
No.
bunch all throughout the day. Like
Oh
the
yeah,
Cowboys
I saw
losing, the
that. A lot of
49ers
favorites
losing.
lost.
Like
It was nuts.
Yeah, Minnesota
Yeah.
All right.
beat. Yeah.
What's
So
that
moving
next game
on,
for us?
we've got Baltimore heading to the Cowboys. Two teams that both lost to underdogs
Big
last
matchup.
week. Big matchup. 425 game. Right now, the matchup predictor has Baltimore at 52.8%. It looks like Jake Ferguson is still questionable. And John Stevens Jr., their backup tight end, is questionable as well. So CeeDee Lamb obviously is going to be a massive play, like always. At this point, Zeke's only got 56 yards rushing and 1 touchdown on 16 carries throughout the season. So I really am just like not confident in him. And nor am I confident in Rico Dowdle or any of the other people that we thought could potentially take over this.
hey, don't talk about Rico Dowdle like that. Mans is out of Asheville, North Carolina. He went to high school here. Shout out.
Yeah, seven
He's a good
seven
running back
carries
though.
for 30 yards out of
That's what
Asheville,
I'm
North
talking
Carolina
about.
for you
That's
there.
what I'm talking about. The boy,
Yeah.
he's
Now he
got
did give
he's
you
got
4 receptions for 29 yards, so I mean there's that. But outside of CD Lamb and maybe Dak,
I mean,
I'm not starting any Cowboys.
Dak's a pretty solid start for like a super flex definitely, but like a quarterback 10, like I wouldn't hate it. Baltimore's got a really,
Cooks.
really, really good defense. But who did Dallas play
Uh,
week 1?
Their defense is okay. We played the Browns. The Browns.
Who have also a really, really good defense, and
Yeah.
Dak was still able to do pretty good work against them. I know that
Yeah,
the
he's been
offense
slicing and dicing.
didn't step up at all. My big question for this game is Isaiah Likely or Mark Andrews. If you have the option between both, who are you starting? Isaiah Likely was less targeted, less receiving yards, less
Yeah, that's
catches.
that's scary. We also saw that coming though. Like
Yeah.
Yeah, right now it's like we're only 2 weeks in, but you're in the spot if you own both of them because you took Isaiah as the handcuff, you hate your life. Like, because you're having to try to guess. And so right now, I lean Mark Andrews just because of history with Lamar Jackson. However, if the game does become a shootout, that's where I think Likely ends up having more of the value because Lamar has looked to go to Likely for the big plays in the first 2 weeks here. And I hate it, but I would lean Mark Andrews if I had to start one of them.
I mean, we're looking at a matchup with 2 high-powered offenses, with 2 top 5 defenses. This could be a game of the century type thing, or it could end up being just like an absolute defensive powerhouse where Brendan Aubrey's the one that gets the most work. Him and Tucker are just battling it out over and over.
I mean, that's a pretty sick battle though. To be honest,
Yeah,
I would actually enjoy that game.
Agreed.
Just a defensive battle of just kicks.
Just
So-
end the game 21-18, but it's all field goals.
Straight.
Derrick
field goals.
Henry. Are we starting Derrick Henry at this point? I mean, I guess where you drafted him, you're kind of forced to. I know that
I
he's
mean,
been
the touchdown
under.
upside.
But like,
you always have that.
if we think that they're going to be down at any point, Justice Hill's obviously the.
I mean,
the call.
84 yards and a touchdown this last week for Derrick Henry, so he's got a touchdown each of the first 2 weeks. You didn't expect him to get much work out of the passing game, so I mean, yeah, I'm starting him if I'm owning him.
Did you see how they ran all over the Cowboys, the Saints? I mean,
Yeah.
that run, it got exposed.
That's where I think Lamar Jackson's set for a big day as far as, little rushing props there for you. He
Yeah,
didn't
well,
run the ball near as much this last game, and I think that's going to pick up this next
so
game because he
I think-
realized it was a factor.
I think a lot of people probably had that ticket of Lamar Jackson over in rushing yards, and for him to toss the ball back and not
He
pick
still
up
got
4
credit for the yards.
Yeah, no, I get that all the way up. Like he needed 4 more yards to hit his over, and so for him to just
I
toss
got
the
you.
ball back like
Yeah,
that
I
was
got
like,
you.
oh my fucking god, what are you doing?
All right, so moving on to Detroit heading to Arizona. Detroit, another game where they lost to the underdog. No one really expected that one.
And playing a team who blew the fuck out of the Rams. Like,
Yeah.
That
looked
was a
like a
game that
totally
made me
new team.
nervous. Was the Bucks and Lions game? I didn't put that game in any parlays. I didn't touch that game.
That's the one game I really, really liked. And we just saw the Lions play the Rams, and we saw how that went down. So
Now
it's
I will
really
say,
interesting. A lot of teams that play each other right now.
Amon-Ra stepped it the fuck up. Did exactly what we expected him to do week 1. He
Now
actually
he
showed
is
up.
nursing an injury.
Yes, but I would say
So is
of
the
the
whole league.
receivers in this league right now, Amon-Ra is one of the few that I just have absolutely. If he's playing, then he's playing hard as fuck, and he's gonna get his shit. Like, I have no concern for him. He had that toe foot injury that he had last year, and it bothered him the first week, and then it wasn't even talked about again, and he had to deal with it all season long. So he's one of the few receivers that I don't care if he's on the field, like he's going to play no matter what. He's just got that grit, that Detroit shit. David Montgomery's an auto start. What do we think of Jahmyr Gibbs so far this season?
Beast.
I mean, he gave you 13 carries for 84 yards, 7 receptions for 22 yards this last game. Like, no touchdowns, but he's still getting you the points. So he's honestly a touchdown away from an absolutely stellar week.
Okay.
He's still a top 5 running back in the league.
Yeah, I mean, he gave you 17 points this week in a full PPR without scoring a touchdown.
And then what about Jamison Williams? I know that he also had a pretty solid week 2 after having a very good week 1.
Someone you want to try
I think
to trade
he's
for.
startable in your flex.
So
because where you drafted him was probably flex territory anyway. So to me, he's startable.
So
Just because of the
Jalen
big
Waddle
playability.
or Jamison Williams. We're going Jamison
Jameson
Williams.
Williams. He has his quarterback. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Anybody that's got their quarterback.
From the Arizona side, I think Kyler Murray, James Conner, Marvin Harrison, Trey McBride. Those are the 4 that we can actually absolutely start. Everyone else is just a backseat in this offense.
Yep.
They might get a
100%.
touchdown. They might get a couple plays, but Michael Wilson's not enough to start yet. Nobody really
Kyler Murray
is.
went absolutely insane.
Yes. I mean,
I'm really excited for the Terry and Arnold Marvin Harrison Jr. matchup this week.
True. Very true.
Yeah.
I like that.
Now, because I don't expect Marvin Harrison to come out and get 4 receptions for 130 yards and 2 touchdowns in the first quarter. Like, it should be noted, he didn't do anything for the remaining 3 quarters of the game. It's not like they really had to, but he still had 8 targets, which is what you're wanting to see out of your wide receiver 1. And Trey McBride continues to just cement what I was saying all offseason, that I'm not worried about his work. He's still going to get his. So, yeah, you're starting your guys there. In this game, though, where did you say this one's in Detroit or Arizona?
It's in Arizona.
It's in Arizona.
It's in Arizona. I think I like the Cardinals at home.
Nah, I'm not going against Detroit this season. They're just too gritty.
it.
I get that they
What
just
about
lost.
last week?
I get that.
Yeah.
But I don't. That doesn't concern
The
me.
Tampa Bay. I did think that Tampa Bay had a nice shot playoff team, coming there.
I just think that Detroit is very
I think-
young. Their defense is very young. They need to get some shit figured out, but that's all they're going to do all week long is figure that out.
If Baker Mayfield was able to run all over them, just think about with Kyler
Aiden
Murray
Hutchinson
could do.
had 7 sacks last week.
And Kyler Murray's much faster than
4.5.
4.5.
than Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, my bad.
Much faster.
7 would be legendary.
Yeah, 4.5 is pretty legendary. So
And he
moving-
was 1 sack away, like 1 full sack away from tying the Detroit franchise record for 1 game.
He's gonna hit it.
And
it's gonna
and
be
how
his
many
record
times
soon
did
enough.
Kyler Murray get sacked last game?
Yeah,
Don't get sacked very often.
I get that. I'm not saying that he will. I'm just saying that they'll contain him.
Now, I love the way Kyler has looked. Like, he's getting back to very fantasy relevant Kyler. Now, for everyone still watching at this point, keep it noted, Call of
Here
Duty,
it comes.
the new Call of Duty drops about week 8. So
Yep.
you have until week 8 to get what
Trade
you
him.
need out of Kyler and try
And
to
then
get
trade
him
him.
out of there.
And then trade his
Exactly.
ass.
It's
So
like
just
Tua
wanted
from
that
last
to be
year.
noted before we move to the next one.
All right, so scene. We are gonna go with San Francisco at Los Angeles
Scene.
Rams. Cooper Cup. I want to talk about that first. Both of the top receivers for the Rams are not going to play in this game. Do we think Demarcus Robinson, Colby Parkinson, Tyler Johnson? Do we think any of these guys are worth giving the nod? Matt Stafford is a great quarterback.
Yes.
You probably have a better option than Colby Parkinson unless you're dealing with like an Evan Ingram situation.
Even then, if you watch our
Marcus
waiver,
Robinson and Tyler Johnson, though, I absolutely do think they're startable, whether wide receiver 2 or flex, just
Waddle.
because somebody has to get the targets.
yeah, I would
And
go
versus
Robinson.
the 49ers, like you expect them to have to throw.
Robinson was averaging 12.5 points a game through the five final games last year, and Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua were both on the field. So I
Yep.
think that like he's probably my go-to if I'm still looking to pick somebody up, if I'm still looking for like who could I start, he's the one I'm the most excited about. That doesn't mean he's going to get the touchdown or that he's going to have the most points. He just has the highest floor, I feel like, of the receivers. Jordan Whittington's another one that probably should get looked at, potentially getting picked up. He's an absolute playmaker, with the ball in his hands type of guy. Really shifty.
Great dreads.
Oh, wow. Yeah. All time.
That it does wonders.
Obviously, Kyron Williams is an auto start. I feel like Matt Stafford, if you're streaming quarterbacks, is someone I really don't want to use right now. I want to see what he can do with the pieces that are
I'd
being
rather
added.
start Minshew.
Yeah, I'd rather. Yeah, exactly. That's a good point. So Austin, Debo Samuel's going down. So Brandon Ayuk is the big guy. What about Jawan Jennings? Do you think that
I
Jawan
like
Jennings?
Jawan Jennings. I liked him with Debo there. I
So
thought he
are you
is
starting
getting
Jawan?
great value.
I feel like he's probably a good pickup because I don't think that he's
Yeah.
on many rosters right now.
I
He's
think
probably available
I
on
think
over 50%.
he's at the point of right now where you pick him up. Like
Yeah.
you don't even have to get him for a waiver. Like you can just pick him up. But like I think that's a sneaky ad. He's getting targeted.
And then are
a
you
bunch
starting him this
that's
week
coming
over
down with
like
him.
a Jalen Waddle or are you still waiting and see?
Yeah, I'm comfortable with starting him this week. I mean, he's getting targeted enough where like he's gonna have value.
I
Regardless.
think he is probably
he is
sneaky
his
value as
quarterback.
an anytime touchdown bet because you're going to get that at good, solid plus money. Me, I would pick him up. I don't know if I'm starting him simply because of Shanahan and how he will change his game plan up from week to week. That's why we see weeks where George Kittle gets 3 targets and other weeks like this week, he gets 8.
Yeah.
George Kittle's out
So-
too, isn't he?
No, I don't
Yeah,
see anything about him
George-
he's not on the injury report right now.
Yeah, I didn't see anything about Kittle. So for me, with Debo being out, I wouldn't be shocked to see both Kittle and Ayuk end up with 10 total targets and Jordan Mason run the ball 30 times.
Yeah, I mean he's already got 48 carries through 2 weeks. They're obviously just going to keep feeding this guy. He's
If
25 years
San
old.
Fran's defense just does anything half of what they're supposed to, they should be able to just handle this game.
Yeah,
But what
I agree.
happened last week? They didn't show up. They used the secondary defense. Like what happened?
Well, I mean they were playing against Minnesota, and Sam Darnold looks like a competent quarterback. Kevin O'Connell.
Historically-
Austin, you were the one saying Kevin O'Connell is going to be able to turn
No, I know.
anybody into somebody solid, and that's
can't.
what happened.
It sucks. I put my money on the 49ers, just blind bet 49ers every week, and you should make money. But, of course, the 1 week I do.
Well,
It
you
should
know,
be,
you live and
it
you
should
learn.
be free money, though, 49ers.
So, yeah, I think the
Based on
49ers
that
should win this
defense.
game easily.
I do not. I don't
Oh,
think
so you got the
easily.
Rams? Do you think the Rams?
I mean, 7.5 is quite a bit for a
'Cause
divisional
if I'm not
matchup.
mistaken, historically, Shanahan just kind of owns McVay, does he not?
I'm pretty sure he owns pretty much everyone in his coaching. Like he owns
That's
the Packers. Like everyone's
Like-
kind of just been losing to Shanahan if they're from
Yeah.
his tree.
Yeah, so that's where I lean as well. Like Shanahan's not gonna allow his team to lose this game without going forward. Is that the last game we've got on the slate for the Peep Peeps?
That is
That's it.
That's it. Well,
That's
hey,
all,
you know,
folks.
guys, we appreciate you hanging out with us. If you're still here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. Tell your friends, tell your family. Every 500 subscriber benchmark, we're giving away a free jersey. One of you lucky viewers. TulsiRoastTea.com is the sponsor at ProFootball_pod on the Twitter machine. We love you guys. Peace out.